Hey everyone, it's Alicia Atout, and welcome to a new episode of Knotfest Heavy Conversations. Today I'm joined by Knotfest host Ryan J. Downey and Tori Kravitz. Hello, how have each of you been?
Hello.
Feeling spooky today.
Spooky
Halloween
time.
that we're filming this. So
Yeah.
Spooky. Yeah, we're filming this on Halloween. It's Scorpio season. It's my season. My due date was Halloween. I was exactly 1 week late. So my birthday's coming up, and it's just, it's time to get witchy and spooky and commune with the dead and all that fun stuff. I'm like King Diamond. Every day is Halloween.
It totally makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense to me though, with all of your knowledge and love for this time of the year that you were supposed to be born today. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah, I could see all the shock and surprise on your face learning that.
Written all over it.
It all checks out. Yep.
Well, we have so much to get into today, as a lot of fantastic Knotfest news has dropped. And the biggest news as of late is the fact that they have officially announced the Knotfest Australia lineup. It is going to take place through March 24th to 26th of 2013. So 2023, not 2013. So next year, can you imagine? We're going back in time for this one, guys. And it features a stacked lineup, which is of Slipknot, Parkway Drive, Megadeth, Trivium, North Lane, and 9 other bands, including In Flames, Knocked Loose, and others. It's not only Knotfest, but it's kind of like Knotfest at its finest, absolutely cranked to 11. So panel, what are your thoughts? What was running through your mind when you first saw this huge lineup drop? Downey, let's kick it off with you.
Well, I'd like to say the tickets go on sale on November 7th, just because I like to make it about my birthday again. It is quite historic, and of all the places where I've traveled myself, and I'm curious to hear from each of you, I've actually never been to Australia, and
Same.
What an amazing lineup. Like you said, all the great bands you mentioned. Also, Spirit Box is going to be there. They've been, one of our favorite bands of the last year plus. The lineup is just crazy. In Flames, Amon Amarth. It's just such a good idea, and just to see the brand expand. I mean, I always say whenever we get the opportunity to talk about Knotfest related things or Slipknot related things, it'd be really easy and cynical to watch our channel and think like, oh, they're just shilling for like the Knotfest stuff. But it's like, no, we're all here because we like the Knotfest stuff. Like that's how we ended up here doing all this other stuff. Is it all kind of sprung from and is anchored around these great destination festivals. And I mean, it's just so good for the scene, so good for the community, and just to see it continuing to expand internationally is just awesome.
Internationally and on this scale especially. And so Tori, I'd love to get your take on everything too, because I'm sure you agree with a lot that was just laid down.
Yeah, I mean, should I just go? Yeah, I second Downey. No, but it's so true. Like the lineup is so amazing, and I think it's cool that there's such a wide array of like the seasoned, beloved rock acts, and then some of these newer bands that, in my opinion, could become the predecessors, the next legendary bands, the next generation. So it's a really well balanced lineup. And, this might be the first time some of these Australian fans are hearing the End So Far live. So that could be really cool, hearing some of those new songs. And to add to the experience, I also saw that they're doing that Slipknot museum. So really great opportunity for the mega fans to see some, never before seen pieces of history in Slipknot's legacy. So there's going to be a lot of activities, a lot of things to dive into. If you're not seeing a band, there's so much other stuff going on at Knotfest. So I mean, I wish I could be there. Never been to Australia. Hint, hint.
Hey.
Me over there would be cool.
All of us are like, hint, hint,
Yeah.
No, it's
just like an all hands on deck kind of event, right? Like you need literally every one of us there.
I know. Completely. They just really need the help all of a sudden. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so huge. It spans over 3 days. It just makes sense.
True.
As Downey mentioned, the tickets do go on sale to the public on November 7th, but the exclusive pre-sale for Knotfest Premium members, where you can get your tickets before everybody else, can be available November 3rd at knotfest.com, everyone. Now, this next topic, I am so fascinated by, because I am obsessed with everything going on with the Metaverse. And it was announced that Ozzy will be performing at a global music festival people will actually be able to experience via virtual reality. This is is where we are at, folks. There have been talks about stuff like this for so long. There are over 100 acts who are set to perform at the event, with our metal icon Ozzy being one. It's also going to be set on a bunch of different stages. I believe there are 15 of them. It's supposed to be visually striking, hosting incredible music, of course, all while you don't have to physically leave your home. So the fact that technology has even got to this place is fascinating, but now it's in our space, our place, with rock and metal. It's just crazy to me. So how are we feeling about this? Do you feel like music has to be in a live setting where you personally are there? Will you rock out in the metaverse? Tori, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know much about the metaverse up until, really looking into this. And this might be the moment where I'm like, it's time to get on board. I want to see Ozzy. For me, of course, music and live music especially has always been about human connection and, getting to see your favorite people right in front of you, your favorite musicians. But, maybe there's a place for a more accessible festival where anyone from anywhere could be a part of it. And the first thing that really comes to my mind with something like this is we've talked about the conversation of rock music becoming a part of the mainstream and being relevant in pop culture. And I think Ozzy's doing an incredible job being a part of this as an example of the importance of keeping up with technology, because over time, stuff like this Metaverse festival is changing the way that we consume music and that we are involved with live music. And being adaptable is so major as times are changing. So that's why I'm like, you know what, let's get on board with this Metaverse festival. I'll be front row, I suppose. But it's important for rock artists and heavy music to be involved in events like this and to set that kind of example so that over time we can continue to be a part of the mainstream and a part of that next wave. Because if we're not, we can't really complain about rock music becoming obsolete, which I know, I'm generalizing, but sometimes that's a concern for us rock fans, is making sure that it stays powerful and stays big. So this is a really, really cool opportunity. And I'm glad to see rock being represented in this festival.
Yeah, so many amazing points there. So Downey, how about you? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, there's a real just convergence of a lot of different events, like a perfect storm to make this happen. Because as you mentioned, Miss Atout, there's been talk about all this sort of stuff for ages. I mean, I remember maybe 20 years ago, a long time ago, Serge from System of a Down talking about getting to a point someday where they won't tour and maybe they'll project holograms from one performance in one place, and people back then being like, that's insane. And then we keep seeing all these different configurations over the last few years, and I really think the pandemic, getting people accustomed to watching live concerts and stand-up comedy and whatever else virtually, and then add to that gaming culture and people spending so much time online anyway, and social media. It seems like all of those things kind of dovetail now to where if there's going to be a moment where this will happen and people will be interested in it, I think it's now. I got to give a shout out to Avenged Sevenfold, because they've been banging the drum for the last couple of years now about Web3 and blockchain and virtual reality and all of this stuff. They've been so hyped on it and so forward thinking about trying to bring their audience into it, which I think is interesting and cool, and I have a lot of respect for the passion they put there. For me personally, there were some live stream shows that I definitely dug, when we didn't have another choice, and I sort of wondered, how much are those going to continue once things go back to quote unquote normal. And it seems like there's still some happening, but not anywhere near at the scale that they were when live touring was over. I know there's people who are doing really innovative and cool things in this space, and as you mentioned, like, most of them aren't in rock and metal so far. So yeah, it's definitely important that we get one of our elder statesmen, the front man of the band that invented heavy metal. It's great. I have mixed feelings, for me personally, about how often and how much I'm going to want to dip into those experiences. I mean, but I'm also somebody that I love staying home and I love watching movies at home, but nothing beats the experience of seeing a film in a movie theater, whether it's an art house theater, whether it's a big budget blockbuster popcorn movie with, the shared communal experience of everyone laughing together and cheering together and crying together. And obviously, live music is even more visceral because the performers are there in flesh and blood. And, that's part of the whole thing. So I feel like there's room for all of it. I just don't know how much of this version of it I'm going to want, but I'm very open-minded about checking it out.
Yeah, I feel like we're on the same page where we're open-minded, we're excited about the opportunities, because perhaps there is an artist that has eluded you for years and now you can finally see them from your living room, or they're on the other side of the world, never tour. I know that happens to me all the time in Canada. Bands, some don't come here, and it's very sad.
Yeah.
So at least you get that same experience, and we are going to be a little bit more used to it because of the live stream aspect throughout the pandemic, which I did not think until you brought that up. So it's a really good point too. We're kind of used to it. Are we going to love it? Did we love it during the pandemic? Not me necessarily, but hey, again, if I'm in one of those scenarios where it works out better, then count me in. Metaverse, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, I feel like we could have both. We can have the live shows that bring that visceral energy, like you're talking about, Downey, but like, yeah, I don't mind popping into a virtual show here and there too. There might be room for both, so we don't have to choose.
For sure. Well, now we're going to go from shows that we are kind of waiting on, a little bit more information that we're still getting used to when it comes to the metaverse and everything being in augmented reality, to things on the horizon for us. So are there any shows or festivals in specific, whether on your calendars or something that was just announced, that you cannot wait to attend? Downey, how about you?
Catatonia. As you know, from us doing many of these and many shows together, my favorite subgenre of metal is the doomier, gothier stuff. And Catatonia has been, an innovative band going back to their early death metal leaning roots all the way through, this expansive, lush, sort of almost pop music that they do. I've never gotten to see them live, and I've been a big fan of theirs for a long time. So they're going to be in America starting November 9th. And I believe that tour runs until like the middle of December. And I'm also very excited for our, what should I call them? Home team heroes and Vended. They get to do the Ginger POD tour that's coming up. So I'm really excited to watch that band grow, because I just think that they're so nice and full of energy. And, the fact that Griffin used to work in a Spirit Halloween store, like that's enough for me to root for them. So both of those tours, I think, coming up are going to be really cool. But for me personally, especially Catatonia, I really want to see them live for the first time.
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing bands live in the flesh, I've watched live videos of theirs before, but it's not the same.
It's a long time coming. Finally, it's here for you. So I'm very happy. I hope the dates line up for you, and that's awesome. Yeah. Well, Tori, how about you? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm going more on the poppy side of rock, which is unusual for me, because normally I'm the one saying something gothy and doomy. So
yes, every time.
Every time I'm on Conversations, that's my genre of choice. But for anyone who knows me personally, it would be completely off-brand for me to say anything other than Placebo US tour dates were announced a couple of days ago.
You could put that in gothy doomy category. I mean,
they're a little goth, aren't they?
They're, kind of goth. I don't want to say glam, because you say glam and people think T-Rex or Motley Crue. But
they have fashion. They do.
Style.
They absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, that's in my top 5 favorite bands of all time. They were supposed to be on a US tour. Was it in October? And it did get canceled September, October. So now it has been rescheduled for the spring, which I'm very happy about. I mean, a band that has 20 years of legacy and some incredible songs that I just would love to hear live. And even their new album, Never Let Me Go, they still got it. So to hear a combination of everything would be really exciting. So April, May, I believe, Placebo tour dates. I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
I'm stoked.
I have been able to see them, but it's been a very long time. But yeah, that's amazing. Without You, I'm Nothing is in my, I don't know if I ever sat down and made a top 25, top 50 albums, but it's somewhere in like my all-time favorites.
Really?
Love that.
What about Meds? That's got to go in there somewhere. But yeah.
It's contender. Time, place, and circumstance too. It's also like when you discovered a band, right?
That's is true.
I've learned about people over the years.
Oh, this is incredible point.
No, I love that though, because I've heard, Downey, you mentioned the bands that you spoke about today. I remember when we were shopping not long ago, Tori, and talking about Placebo with you.
Yeah,
the fact that you'll be able to see these bands in person, chef's kiss, amazing.
I know, dreams are coming true. What about you,
Definitely.
Alicia?
I mean, I have to go with the Parkway Drive tour that was announced. It's their first tour in a few years. Features one of my favorites right now, Memphis Mayfire. Currents are on as an opener. But what I'm most psyched about, other than seeing the sweet triple bill, is that the dates finally line up where I can see Memphis perform songs off the new the new record, and I've just been waiting so long for it to line up. So I've been having on loop Remade in Misery all the time, sung my lungs out to this album. I just love the heaviness and how full force it is, but against the vulnerable lyricism. Like that song, every single song on that album just hits me in the heart. So seeing it live will just make me so happy. Like all of us seem to be this week. These are all personal choices, which I love.
Yeah.
So
and
good.
Shout out Matty Mullins, one of the sweetest dudes to ever walk the earth, and somebody I've gotten to know over the years and interviewed many times and written about many times. And I haven't seen them. I think the last time I saw them play was when they toured. They did a co-headliner with Yellow Card, and that was
wow.
I don't know. That had to have been.
Oh, I remember that tour.
Me too.
Yeah,
on that tour.
So yeah, I'd love to get live. He's just the sweetest dude, and and I love that was kind of the narrative of this record, right? It was one of those like back to our roots, doing the heavy stuff that older fans want to hear, but with like the polish of the more modern stuff that they've done. And yeah, Matty's always putting his heart on his sleeve with his vulnerability, like you said, and
always
just being a good dude.
Yes, can't get enough of that, especially in this business. Like anytime you come across someone who is genuinely a fantastic person and someone I can talk about barbecue with, thank you. Thank you, Matty.
I can talk about pomade because he has his own pomade company, and I'm a pomade fan. I have
something for everybody.
So yeah. This is what's great about the Knotfest roundtables, by the way, is we all have these like overlaps, but we also always have an assemblage of people that will
of course
kind of root for different things or have these different picks. Like I don't think we've ever done one of these where everyone had the same pick, but we've always all had picks where everybody else is like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you know? There's a good appreciation that comes with this, which I love, because I just pulling the curtain back. I've been a part of and done roundtables with brands where people just come in with such a snooty attitude where it's like, oh, mine's far superior. I'm like, this is all good shit. And that's the whole point, you know? We're putting over what we love, and that makes me very glad. Speaking of putting over things we love, now it's time to talk about tracks that we are super into this very moment. So Tori, who are you spinning?
Oh yeah. So, you know, this doesn't happen to me as often as it used to, but you know, when you find that artist that you're just like, I'm obsessed with them now, I can't listen to anything else. This is just going to be the only thing on rotation obsessively. I'm going through a Cassiette phase. I've I dove into her discography not too long ago. I know I'm late on the bandwagon, but better late than never. I just
not as late as I am, because I know who she is, but I couldn't even tell you what I think she sounds like. I have no idea.
But that's what's cool. There is no, this is what she sounds like, because there's so many different genres at play. And, you know, she's talked about it before saying, you know, people say, oh, Cassiette's not a rock artist. Well, she's never claimed to be a rock artist or a pop artist or one certain thing. So everybody's just kind of pigeonholed her in different things. But I mean, her catalog is spanning a lot of different sounds. Like, the song I've been loving is September Rain, which is the latest single that came out last month. More of like a power ballady kind of song. But then there's another one called Mayhem, which is it reminds me of like when I used to love, you know, Avril Lavigne and that poppy kind of rock. But she also has some pretty metal sounding tracks. So I just think she's really cool. All of the songs are fantastic. So September Rain is my particular pick, but you really can't go wrong with anything that she's released. And she's been going single by single. So you could tell everything's been pretty intentional with what she's put out there, which I like.
I love that you brought her up. I wasn't familiar with her work until I interviewed her for Knotfest when we did our UK tour, and we're at the Heavy Music Awards. And obviously doing my research and whatnot, I was listening to what she had just released at the time. I thought, this is such a cool crossover of like being that statuesque, almost like pop punk badass, but incorporating some of the darker, heavier elements. Her look is on point. Like she was just a sweetheart, one of the nicest people I interviewed that entire time. So yeah, amazing pick right there.
Oh, dude, so her fashion is on lock as well, for sure. Scroll the Instagram. It's worth a gander.
Scroll, like, give it a follow. We love supporting our girls here.
Yes.
Downey, who are you spinning as of late?
And I just want to ask real quick, Tori, you mentioned Avril Lavigne. What country is she from?
Canada.
One of mine.
I just wanted to make somebody say Canada because I'm such a fan of the Interview Queen. I like to shout her out.
Represent.
Thank
Canada.
you. Canada.
I am listening to, very on brand of me, the new Darkthrone album that came out on Friday as we're taping this. It's less than a week old. And it is awesome. It's called Astral Fortress. and it continues on from the last record, which wasn't even that long ago. I mean, they're so endlessly prolific, which you can do when you don't tour. But Eternal Hails was just 2021, like it was literally last year. And this record kind of continues on from that one, where obviously they're known as true Norwegian black metal, one of the most prominent bands in that style, and Fenriz is one of the most beloved people in the metal community. But in these last couple of records, they've really gone the doom route, and there's a lot of Celtic Frost in there, and I liked Dark Throne. I loved Dark Throne in terms of, I'm not a huge black metal person, and they're one of the black metal bands that I really love. And then for them to then sort of evolve and experiment and dip into the exact subgenre of metal that I love the most, it's just been like, wow. Eternal Hails, and then this record, Astral Fortress. And if I have to go with a particular song, it's not just because of this great song title, it's also because it's like a 10-minute track, and it gives you a full picture of what this record's about. But the song is called The Sea Beneath the Seas of the Sea.
Wow.
The Sea
awesome.
Beneath the Seas of the Sea. That's a mouthful.
I'm sold.
And it's awesome.
Okay.
I'm gonna listen to Cassiette, and you're gonna listen to a 10-minute Dark Throne song.
But that's what I love about conversations, is I always leave with a new favorite song or new favorite album or something I hadn't listened to before that now I'm gonna love. So thank you for that. And
shout out DK, because whenever he's here too, he's always like,
so many good
band
records.
That's like just flying the flag for traditional metal, and I'm like, I love trad metal, but I'm so not aware of like all the tons and tons and tons of like current bands doing that style. Yeah. And he's always like, you gotta listen to like Bullet Belt Explosion. They're from Portland, and they just put out a 4-song demo, and it's crazy, and it sounds like destruction.
I can't.
Like, Decay for Halloween. Yeah, I'm
like writing it down.
Yeah, we found your Halloween costume. Annual Decay.
Nah, I wish. I wish. I'm
happy that you brought it back to Halloween, though, because in celebration of spooky season, I've been spinning Ghost Town by the Specials over and over.
Oh, yes.
So good. There's just this effortless, eerie darkness that hovers throughout the entire two-tone track. What I love about it the most, though, is that it's kind of a ska oddity. It's ska in the sense where it has the reggae timing, the shuffle organ, has the classic instruments using tons of brass, but then the vocals are so eerie. There's a flute solo that's enchanting. I don't know how it works, but it does. So earlier today, I was just walking down the street. There were a bunch of kids, and I just kept thinking, this town, and it was perfect. So, gotta throw it to the Specials tonight.
Yes,
but
hell yeah. And I'm gonna say that's a doomy ska song.
Yes, it totally
is. It's very like dirgy. It's like, it's political commentary. It's got gothic tinges to it. It was also a hit, apparently. I mean, I'm pretty sure that song was released before either of you were born, and I was marry a very, very, very young lass.
Go 80s.
But I think it was like a hit in the UK. It might have been like their first hit, right?
No, it definitely was for them. I was kind of looking at it earlier too, just in terms of like stance and whatnot, and I didn't realize the exact political effect that it had. Like, knew what it was about in essence, and just kind of documenting things everyone went through in the 80s and losing jobs and things being taken from people. But man, when it aligns with almost the emptiness of the song that's so warm, like it's amazing that they captured this in a tune. So yeah, I could go on for a while. But very good choice.
And they're still doing it. They're still doing the social commentary with the groove and vibe in 2022.
And I saw them tour like 5 or 6 years ago, and they still sounded amazing. So another band, guys, if you can get on your radar, definitely do. But at this point, alas, the show is over. So thank you so much to everybody for watching Knotfest Heavy Conversations. Remember, don't forget to grab tickets to Knotfest Australia. Be the first to get them on November 3rd during our special pre-sale at knotfest.com. And if you are not an exclusive member, all you have to do is add /join to knotfest.com and become a member. Now, on behalf of our sweet hosts, Ryan J. Downey and Tori Kravitz, I've been Alicia Atout, and we will see you next week right here. Bye, everybody.